Hey everybody. For today's discussion, I'm going to talk about a really interesting and surreal director who's able to accomplish some film techniques that not a lot of directors can accomplish nowadays. And that film director is Mr. David Lynch. Um, he's actually slowly becoming one of my favorite film directors simply because, like I said earlier, he can really accomplish something that not a lot of directors can do, and that's be surreal, be unique, bring something new, and be able to tell a story all at the same time. And so Mulholland Drive is unfortunately the only film I do own by him, but it's a very unique film, and I guarantee you'll watch it more than once simply because there's so much to interpret from that movie. Some other films that he directed were Eraserhead, Lost Highway, and Blue Velvet was another famous film of his. Um, David Lynch is very good about creating a story that consists of elements that you might see in a bad dream or something you might have recognized from somewhere, but at the same time it's something new because he goes the more surreal route with his stories. um, I guess a good example of this is in Mulholland Drive. There's a scene where these conference room members are discussing about a future film that's going to go into development soon. And one of them, who's new to this group, wants a cup of coffee. And he's not familiar with the town's most famous cup of coffee yet. So he gets the cup of coffee. And what makes the scene really unique is rather than just saying, oh, I don't like this, or um, throwing the cup against the wall, or something we've seen a million times in movies before, uh, David Lynch is able to give us that message in a very unique, surreal manner, in the sense that at first you almost think like he's spitting up some type of poison, but it's really him spitting into the napkin and the fact that he didn't like the coffee. So even the small things like that, as weird as they are, they're very unique. And strangely enough, we don't get to see a lot of that strange uniqueness in movies these days. So I guess it's a love hate thing with David Lynch. Either you think it's really unique and really surreal, or you just think it's just stupid. Um, so David Lynch, you guys, he in Mulholland Drive, there's another scene where it involves um, a guy having a bad nightmare of a man behind the restaurant, and it's always happening almost every night. So he's telling his friend about this, and so he's telling him everything that happens. And after he tells you what happens, it plays out exactly the way that he just explained it. And he even sees the man behind the restaurant the way he did in his bad dream. It's a very freaky scene, especially the first time you see it. Um, Another film, Eraserhead, one of his first films too. It's very, I would say the first 5 minutes alone is very weird. Um, you have no idea what's going on in the first 10 minutes, but after seeing the movie, you'll start to realize that it's this man being kind of haunted by the early development of his child in a very surreal, unique manner in space. So that's kind of what I got out of the opening 5-10 minutes of Eraserhead. Um, the baby in Eraserhead is very unique looking too. It's a mixture of an anorexic human and a dead baby. That is my um, hybrid analysis of what the baby looks like in Eraserhead. So very weird. Yeah, like I said, David Lynch is very, very weird. It's a love hate thing with him. I have not seen Lost Highway or Blue Velvet, but I have heard that both films are very good when it comes to David Lynch's surrealness. Um, One thing that David Lynch is also very good about, especially within Mulholland Drive, is the fact that he's able to give us that whole film noirish look to his movies, where it's in black and white, whether it's kind of this detective story setting, whether it's kind of a unique vision of Los Angeles, unique vision of another place, another city that we might be familiar with. David Lynch is able to make it very surreal. Um, Even on here on the Mulholland Drive DVD box, we have A Maniacal Thrill, one of the year's bests. Gets inside your head and stays there. It's beautiful, twisting, dangerous, and addictive. Hypnotic is what Roger Ebert says, and that's all the quotes back here. It was also the winner of the 2001 Cannes Film Festival. Um, To further prove how weird Mulholland Drive and how weird David Lynch's films are, Naomi Watts was actually asked on YouTube at some type of conference or fair of some kind, some type of event where public people could attend and ask questions to the people who were up front. Naomi Watts was one of them. And one of the people in the audience asked about the blue box from Mulholland Drive. And for those who see Mulholland Drive, it's never quite clear what that blue box is. And even Naomi Watts admitted there was only certain things that David Lynch would tell her during the production, and he wouldn't tell her certain things because if something like this happened at an event, it would still be open for interpretation as to how someone saw that blue box in Mulholland Drive. So David Lynch, you guys, very unique director. Some of you might hate him, some of you might love him. Um, I still like him, but I haven't seen enough of his work yet to say that I'm completely in love with his work. But what I've seen of his work so far is very, very unique. Eraserhead was a little weird for me. Mulholland Drive was great, and I can't wait to see Blue Velvet and some of his other surreal work. So David Lynch, you guys, if you have not seen any of his films, he's worth checking out, at least with Mulholland Drive anyway. Um, Check him out, you guys. He's a pretty good director.